Hello, greetings to you. Greetings. We meet again today to continue with our course. And today we shall be talking again, we shall be discussing employability skills. And today we are going to look at leading a workplace team. Leading a workplace team. The objective of this one is to bring to your attention the issues that are very important when you start to grow in your career, when you become a supervisor, when you become a senior security officer, when you become a security manager, and even when you become a security director, you need to lead teams. Even at your level, there may come a time you are appointed to lead the team. And when you are leading a team, there are those strategies that you must employ. Therefore, we are going to be looking at skills to lead a workplace team. Therefore, under this topic, we are going to look at setting performance expectations for teams, assigning duties and responsibilities, and identification of team parameters and relationships. We are also going to look at skills, knowledge of establishing forms of communication, carrying out communication at the workplace, supervision, and providing feedback for team performance. Collection and analysis of feedback, conflict resolution, adhering to gender mainstreaming, and human rights, as well as creating healthy relationships. These are very important areas of your survival and of your growth in your career at the workplace. If you are to grow in the right direction, if you are to advance to the next level, then these are some of the areas that you have to consider that you will encounter as you move ahead. Therefore, we are going to first of all define some key terms, and the terms we are going to define is performance expectation. They are the requirements of an employee, including actions, behavior, and expected results. In most organizations, you will find that the management sets performance expectations for each department, and then this is actually coordinated through the HR office. And then these performance expectations, your departmental head also plays a role, because your departmental head is the one who knows your job requirements, exactly your job requirements. So performance expectations are set and they are communicated to employees, and it is the responsibility of employees to try and meet these expectations. And then there is also another definition is forms of communication. We have got various ways of exchanging information, ideas, thought, feelings, and emotions at the workplace. Forms of communication. We exchange communication verbally, we exchange communication non-verbally, we exchange communication through posters, through emails, through phone calls, through verbal speaking to each other, through briefings in meetings. This is how we exchange information, ideas, thought, feelings, and emotions at the workplace. And then also another term we are going to define is conflict. It is a disagreement. Conflict is a disagreement among groups or individuals characterized by antagonism and hostility. And then we have gender mainstreaming, a strategy of realizing gender equality. Gender equality at the workplace, it is also very relevant, especially in this age. And then we have also another term to define, which is healthy relationships. It is having good interactions with fellow employees and working in harmony to achieve set goals. And this one is very, very important to us as employees. Healthy relationships. Some of us form very negative, very bad relationship with others. We are always in conflict, and yet it is at the place of work, and we are expected to work as a team to attain organizational objectives and goals. Performance expectations for the team. Setting performance expectations is to move towards a specific goal and creating workplace accountability from one employee to another. It is applied to assess the progression and position expectations as performed by individual employees. To communicate and manage expectations effectively, it is important to know what is expected from the employees and teams and set realistic, reasonable tasks. Set realistic, reasonable tasks. And then team performance expectations. Team expectations are similar to individual expectations, except that team expectations are something every member of the team should be accountable for, while also holding others accountable. So team expectations. They are for the team to be productive and work cohesively. Each member of the team should be accountable for the following. One, respect each other and be cautious. Respect is very important. Most of us lack respect. Most of us lack respect for other people, and it is very wrong. So, team members, when working in a team at a workplace, must first of all respect each other, and then be cautious, and then be flexible about job and take tasks assignments. Be flexible about job and task assignment, and ask for help when needed. You should be able to ask for help when needed. Then work safely together. Work safely together, and then be motivated and reliable. And then shared ideas for improvement. We should share ideas for improvement. We should be motivated and reliable, and we should work safely together at the workplace. And then we have also said, ask for help when you need help. If there is these few areas that we are mentioning, create a cohesive team. Ensure that people are working together and the team is productive. The team is producing what is expected of them. And then how team performance expectations are set. Setting expectations for a team for excellent performance, communicating clearly about the specific tasks being assigned, results that should be accomplished, the degree of accomplishment, the expectation of each step, and how it will be monitored. It is the responsibility mostly of the head of department and his assistant to set these specific tasks that they are assigning for the people. You find in most organizations, people don't know what they are supposed to do. When there is a problem, you ask an employee, and what is expected of you? They tell you, me, I don't know. Now, that one is a very bad attitude. However, it is also could be also the failure of the head of department to set specific tasks being assigned, and then also to fail to communicate these tasks to employees in a proper way. And then also say, by knowing the specific requirements of each task, the expectation of each step is the process the employee will have no doubt about what the task is about. If you know what you're supposed to do, for example, if you are a security officer and you know your duty today is to patrol, and what is the reason for patrol? That I'm supposed to patrol to check for hazards, to check for that fire safety equipments are in a proper place, to check that the areas that are supposed to be locked are locked, to check that the employees are following the procedures. You know exactly what you are supposed to do. You know that I'm patrolling, but what am I doing? So this is what we call knowing specific requirements of each task. Expectations are set in the following steps. Please write down. Expectations are set in the following steps. 1. Set goals. But before we go to setting goals, let us say having standards. Standards are levels of degree to which all are expected to strive. This is mostly referred to as a norm. It is for the good of the company, and all the team members must work towards it. So standards are levels of degree to which all are expected to strive. This is mostly referred to as a norm. It is for the good of the company, and all the team members must work towards it. Set goals. The goals are set with a direction, connection to the company standards. The goals may be challenging but realistic and set up to reach levels that are a progression upwards. Objectives are set. These are steps on a timeline that keep the workers towards moving the goal in a specific and measurable way. So just think about setting goals, then think about setting objectives. And then requirements of performance expectation. A requirement to conform to the core value of an organization. Compliance to laws, this is very important. Regulations, standards, and policies is a requirement. To adhere to the norms of professionalism in the areas of specialization. Be adaptable with the ability to embrace change and learn. compliance with applicable standards, external or internal, and then high standards of work produced by the team. These are some of the areas that we need to keep in mind when we are thinking about requirements of performance expectations. And then also we talk about assigning duties and responsibilities. This means putting a person in charge of tasks. When team leaders assess the scope and feasibility of the work assigned to the team, the primary consideration is the strength of each team member. There are some team members who can do very well in a particular area, and there are some team members who can do well in a particular area. I was working with a team of 47 individuals, 47 security officers, and I discovered over time that there were those who were very effective at patrol, and there were those who were very effective at deliveries, receiving supplies. They know how to counter check these things and follow the correct procedures. And there were those who were very effective in fire safety issues, and there were those who were very effective in access control. If you deploy him at the main gate, at the main entrance, then you know that the day will go very well. So each team member is gifted and has different abilities. So leaders should take this into consideration. Assigning roles and responsibilities improve the work of the team in the following ways. 1. Productivity. Productivity is enhanced when the responsibility assigned closely align with team members' strength. Yeah, productivity is enhanced when the responsibility assigned closely aligned with team members' strength. Morale. Issuing of duties and responsibility to team members gives each person a sense of ownership. They become invested in project's outcome, hence increasing their efforts to create quality product. Without assigning roles to members, they may grow disinterested and detached. Efficiency. Assigning responsibility boosts efficiency. Having a clear understanding of the work roles allows leaders to develop timelines. This lists who is in charge of which task and when the specific portion of work is expected to reach completion. Efficiency. So assigning duties also increases efficiency and also increases morale. Guidelines for delegating tasks to team members. Guidelines for delegating tasks to team members. Remember, not every task can be delegated. There are tasks that you have to accomplish, you as the leader of the team or the supervisor. So, to identify key opportunities for delegation. Identify key opportunities for delegation. We say not all can be delegated. A leader has to determine which duties and responsibilities can be assigned or delegated, and then establish a clear set of objectives for each task. No matter the task being delegated, make sure all the objectives are clarified so as the task can be accomplished. Okay, and then construct timelines. Timelines keep people focused and hold all members of the group accountable for meeting goals on the timeline. Timelines are very important. When you delegate a task, you have to say that I'm delegating you to investigate this matter. Within the next 48 hours or 72 hours, I expect feedback. I expect a report on my table to show that you have accomplished the job, so that people know what am I supposed to do and what is the timeline. For example, you deploy a person on patrol, you have to tell them exactly 1500 hours. I need to see a report in the occurrence book detailing your patrol findings, so that people are not just walking within the premises without knowing exactly what to do. And then establish authority and respect. When assigning duties, it is important to set the tone for your position in the relationship. This sets a tone of respect so they understand they are being relied upon and appreciated. So set the tone. Set the tone clearly that you want this thing to be done, and this is the timeline, and you expect results. Identifying team parameters and the relationships. Team parameters and relationships is how the team members engage with each other, how we cooperate with each other. This will highly be influenced by how the leaders engage with the time. Team parameters and the relationships involves finding a balancing point. In order to achieve this, a team leader shouldn't lead a team too highly or too loosely. There are those managers who are very, very tough and very harsh on even their own team members, until people are afraid even to perform the work. Once a person knows that tomorrow I will be on duty, then it becomes a very hard day for them. That is not good. Again, there are those leaders who are very flexible, loosely. They don't care what is happening in the department or how people are doing the job. This one is also not very good. So leaders should lead the team not too highly and not too low. Also, we say ways of finding a balance point in a team. Encourage discussion, but not too much of it. Discussion and the exchange of ideas allow for greater creativity and innovation. Through dialogue, a team expands its problem-solving capability. Celebrate the colleague and recognize the individual. Team leaders have to maintain a sense of who contributes to what to the team. Give autonomy but define parameters. The team should know the general direction, where it is heading, and trust everyone enough to carry on. Give autonomy but define parameters. And then also encourage opposing views but be aware of obstructions. Opposing views are important to energizing teams and stimulating creativity. However, there is a thin line between well-meaning critics and obstructionist rhetoric. And then by keeping the above ways in mind, a leader can hit the balance point between loose and tight leadership. If the balance is achieved, the parameter and the relationship of the team is identified. Easily said, or said in other terms, to be a leader, you have to create the balance in the team. You have to create a balance between being very hard on the team and working loosely on the team, so that even you create a kind of a relationship between you and your team members. There should be limits to what team members can participate in, or what team members can say, what team members can discuss, and what cannot be discussed. So it is a balancing act. Leadership is a balancing act, where you have to strike the right balance to maintain the team, so that the team is working in cohesion, so that the team is achieving the results, so that the team is achieving the set objectives. Forms of communication. We already know this. I think we have learned about communication in most courses, most careers. The basics of any studies is first to learn about communication. So there are these are the various ways of establishing and exchanging of information, ideas, thoughts, and feelings. We have already said information is about exchange of ideas, data, thoughts, and feelings between one person and the other. Communication is categorized in two. Informal communication. This is any communication that takes place without following the formal channels of communication. So number one is informal communication, and number two is formal communication. Write that one down. It is often referred to as grapevine, as it spreads without the organization and in all direction without any regard to levels of authority. Informal communication. Let's see what this means in detail before we go to formal communication. This is the type of communication that flows through official channels designed in the organization. So we can say informal communication is just what is happening within the organization, and people are just talking about it informally. People are passing ideas, exchanging thoughts, just loosely without any form of structures. But formal communication, this is the type of communication that flows through official channels in the organizational chart. It may take place between a superior and a subordinate and a superior, or among the same cadre of employees or managers. Formal communication is official company communication. For example, if you are supposed to write emails to your department head to give him an update every 24 hours, then after every 24 hours you write the email to him. That is formal communication. It is structured communication, and it is a requirement of the company under existing policies. Formal communication can be classified again into two. Vertical communication, as the name suggests, information flows directly upwards or downwards through formal channels. Downward communication flow is communication from superior to subordinate, while upward communication flow from subordinate to a superior. And then there is horizontal communication. Still under formal communication, there is horizontal communication. This occurs between members of equal rank or positions, like being heads of departments or unit. It helps to maximize achievements of the set goals. So this is horizontal communication. It occurs between members of equal ranks or positions, like departmental heads, departmental managers are members of equal rank, and so they can communicate between each other about issues related to work. So this is what we call horizontal communication. Vertical communication, supervisor and the subordinates or leader, and then vertical communications upward and downward. Carrying out communication in the organization. How do you carry out communication? There are three basic methods of communication. Three basic methods of communication. Number one is written communication. This is one of the most important and frequently used mode of communication in the organization. It includes letters, electronic mail, fax transmission, or other device that is transmitted via written words or symbols. And then we have oral communication. This is type of communication is through word of mouth. This can be in meetings or in any other event. So there is a written communication, and then there is an oral communication, and then there is a non-verbal communication or silent communication. This is the non-word human response and the perceived characteristics of the environment through which the human and non-verbal messages are transmitted. There are two forms of non-verbal communication, i.e. physical symbol language and body language. You see your head of department just comes to your work area, he walks around, he doesn't speak to anybody, and then he goes. And then you realize that was supervision or spot check. Body language, he has just walked around. Non-verbally, he hasn't spoken anything, but you realize and you get the message that we need to be alert, we need to be active on whatever we are doing. That is a form of non-verbal communication. Team performance. Supervision is an act or instance of directing, managing, or oversight. Supervision is focused on directing people to get work done, where team leadership is focused on developing an environment where people are motivated to do their work. There are two capabilities required in team supervision. One, leading people capabilities. This includes giving feedback, coaching others, performance management, managing reward, and recognition, and setting measurable objectives. This is what we call team leading people capabilities. And then managing work capabilities. This includes planning work, monitoring progress, setting measurable goals, and facilitating meetings. So team performance, there is a leading people capabilities, and then managing work capabilities. Managing work capabilities includes planning work, monitoring progress, setting measurable goals, and facilitating meetings. And then also we have team performance, supervisor's role. What is the supervisor? The role of a supervisor. Team performance supervisors may play different roles, which include one, advocate, responsible in representing the employee's request to management and representing the employee's case for a deserving reward. Two, there are also bosses, the supervisor. The supervisor is deemed to be the boss when people in the department are ultimately looking for direction and guidance in their job. They lead people, they give guidance, they give direction. These are what we call supervisors. And then supervisors are also coach. Supervisors might guide their employees to increase performance and satisfaction in various ways, such as advising them. And very important here is briefings, and very important is meetings, and very important is training. So supervisors coach people, they develop people, they train people, they give people direction, they give employees a satisfaction, and employees gain morale, and the work moves on very well. Supervisor is also a facilitator. The work of a supervisor is to support a group, hence making the supervisor a facilitator. A supervisor is also a trainer. We have spoken about. The supervisor is often the first person who is considered when a new employee needs to learn the new job. The supervisor is responsible to ensure that training occurs. Core competency skills that are suggested in supervision: communication, decision making, delegating, meeting management, problem solving, and planning skills. These are core competency skills that are suggested in supervision. So if you want to become a supervisor, you have to start practicing very good communication, very good decision making. You must learn how to delegate duties. You must learn how to meet management and participate in management meetings. You must be a very good problem solver, and also you must have planning skills. So if you want to develop to that area, then you must start to practice these things at your current level. Collecting and analyzing feedback on performance. Collecting and analyzing feedback on performance. Collecting and analyzing feedback on performance. Feedback is the sharing of perspectives on work experiences in the organization by employees. Importance of collecting feedback is to ensure that employees are engaged and satisfied. This leads to more production, improve customer experience. Employees become advocates for the company. Employees become advocates for the company. Collecting feedback is very important. The problem is that most of us do not like feedback. We take feedback negatively. However, we should strive always to understand the importance of feedback and take it positively. Ways of collecting and analyzing feedback: through anonymous surveys, non-anonymous surveys, plus surveys. There are shorter surveys distributed more frequently. Suggestion boxes, they exist at every organization. Employees who are hesitant to express unpopular ideas may want to leave feedback in an anonymous way, but feel like surveys haven't been a good idea to express them. Then feedback meeting. They are a great way to connect staff and managers in more effective ways. So collecting feedback is done through anonymous surveys, non-anonymous surveys. Anonymous survey, it can be done in-house or via survey form solutions which can be distributed. Non-anonymous surveys, it creates an open culture based on open, honest, and respectful feedback to replace fear in the workplace. So just note down ways of collecting feedback is anonymous surveys, non-anonymous surveys, plus surveys, suggestion boxes, and feedback meeting. And then we also briefly talk about conflict resolution between team members. Conflicts are not good at the workplace. Try to stay away from conflicts. This is the process by which two or more parties engage in disagreements, disputes, or debate to reach an agreement resolving it. So conflict resolution is a way team members find ways to resolve what is pulling them apart. Conflict resolution process: recognition by the parties involved that a problem exists, mutual agreement to address the issue and find some solution, an effort to understand the perspective and concerns of the opposing individual or group, an effort to understand the perspectives and concerns of the opposing groups. And then identify changes in attitude, behavior, and approaches to work by both sides that will lessen negative feelings. Please watch your attitude at the workplace. Watch your attitude. I've seen in staff with very bad attitude until they are unable to work in a team, until they end up losing their jobs because they are completely cannot work with other people because of bad attitude. Then recognizing triggers and episodes of conflicts, and then interventions of third parties such as human resource representatives or high-level managers to mediate. Where the problem is persistent, then it may become the responsibility of human resources or high-level managers to bring the people back together. And then conflict resolution between team members, continuation, a willingness by one or both parties to compromise. Somebody must be willing to compromise. Where we don't compromise, then we will not be able to solve the conflict. Then agreement on a plan to address differences, and then monitoring the impact of any agreement for change, and then disciplining or terminating employees who resist diffusing conflicts. Yeah, there are some employees who resist to diffuse conflicts until the only remaining solution is to get rid of these people. Some conflicts are essentially arbitrary, which means it doesn't matter who wins, only that the problem is relieved to everyone who can get back to work. And then conflict is a normal occurrence in a workplace, hence the need to resolve them. Undertaking gender mainstreaming. It is a strategy towards realizing gender equality. Gender mainstreaming requires both integrating a gender perspective to the content of the different policies and addressing the issue of representation of women and men in the given policy area. An effective implementation of gender mainstreaming requires preparation and organization. People in decision-making positions can make a particular difference as they have more power to introduce changes. The changes introduced should at all times distribute them across both genders in a balanced way. Mainly what we are talking about, consider that there are women and men at the workplace. So you have to balance how you work with these people and how you understand them. The psychologists and sociologists say men and women think differently. So you should be in a position to understand what are their concerns and how do I balance them so that it doesn't I don't rely on one side and the other side is suffering. Consider both men and the women at the workplace, balance issues, balance promotions, balance rewards, balance recognitions as we move along. And then also adhering to human rights, that one is very important. Human rights are basic rights of each human being, independent of race, sex, political affiliation, religion, social status, or any other character. Human rights provide a universal benchmark for minimum standards of behavior. Many national laws and regulations have evolved as a result of a state's obligation to implement human rights standards. Businesses must also observe such laws in all countries and jurisdictions in which they operate. If the human rights are not adhered to, it is against the law, and action should be taken against those not adhering to them. So human rights is very important. Issues related to privacy, issues related to observing that people are respected and that their human rights are taken into consideration. You may need to research more on your own and read about what are these human rights. What are we talking about when we talk about human rights? People have the freedom to freely express themselves. People have the freedom to really engage with other people in communications. There are these fundamental human rights. So can you please research on that? And then developing and maintaining healthy relationships. It is having a good interaction with the fellow employees and working in harmony to achieve the set goals. Developing a work relationship involves the actions that create a positive, empowering, motivational work environment for people. It also entails helping other employees to achieve this greatness. Relationships, as I said earlier, strive to maintain good relationships with other people at the workplace. And then conclusion, it is important to develop knowledge and skills that enable employees to set and assign duties and responsibility to teams, establish forms of communication, collect and analyze feedback, and carry out work communication. And also acquire skills, ability, and knowledge in conflict resolution. Conflicts are very sensitive, and how you handle them or how you manage them is also very, very important, especially if you are in supervision or if you are the leader of the team. You must learn how to solve conflicts. Never take sides. And then gender mainstreaming, we have spoken about that. And then adherence to human rights, it is very important. And then how to establish healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are established by respect, following the standards, following procedures. For example, simple things like well-being, well-groomed, keeping time for meetings, for briefing, for relieving others. These are some of the areas where we create good relationships. Avoiding rumor mongering, avoiding creating tension within the team unnecessarily. You have to learn how to create healthy relationships if you are to succeed in your career. We have reached the end of this presentation. We shall meet again for the next presentation. So I want to say that I wish you all the best, and I will see you again when we come back for the next class. Thank you very much, and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.